See, I'll be ready.
He's Blake. I'm Ronnie. 2 nights in a row, Blake, live streams that wasn't publicized. But I did manage to get this one out for everybody and say, hey, we might be talking top 4th of July movies here in a little while. And here we are. How's it going, Blake? How was your 4th?
Really good 4th. Got off work early. Didn't have the day off like 90% of America. Had to work, but I got off really early. Got to spend the day with my family. Got to fire up the grill. Did some burgers, dogs, pork loin, ribs, you know, the classics. I hit all the classics. What about you?
That's what, yeah, I just cooked all day on the grill. That's what it should have been. We should have done a show where it's like a Mount Rushmore or top 5 4th of July foods.
Well, let's go into it right now.
That's what we're missing. Like, what is the quintessential, you know, if you ask anybody, I think the number one answer, if we were playing Family Feud, number one 4th of July food, they're going to say hot dog or hamburger, right?
I think it's got to be hot dogs. I think hot dog. We surveyed 100 people. Top 6 answers on the board. Survey says
Bam!
Hot dogs. Hot dogs, number one answer.
So that would have been a great, and that's something for down the line. Mount Rushmore of 4th of July foods.
Hey, Pat, what's going on? Pat, what all do you put on your hot dogs? I know you're a northern guy. What all do you put on it?
Who's all in here? Let's check the chat. We never do this anymore.
Push, what do you put on your hot dog? Because you're a Midwest guy, so you probably do like coleslaw and baked beans and stuff like that. Ronnie and I got made fun of when we took our trip to Chicago and we ordered hot dogs at the ballpark, and they're like, "What do you want on it?" We're like, "Ketchup," and they're like, "We're not putting ketchup on a hot dog." And they put a bunch of stuff on there. They made fun of us, but it ended up being good. What all they put on yours, Ronnie? I think I had baked beans on mine and some other stuff that was all really good.
Oh, we got Pat's in the chat, Nick's in the chat, Mark Max in the chat. I think Jim Bob's in there somewhere popping in. Happy day after Return of the Living Dead Day. I'm telling you, I got to start checking social media more because I didn't see Blake's early morning tweet and time's getting away from me. I enjoyed that show last night. Hey, you guys check out Pat and Brett. That show they had the other night was really freaking good. I mean, I think I put it in their chat. Their channel is getting really good, and they're starting to get more and more subs. And I was so happy for them the other night. They had somebody on, and I went into their live chat, and I'm expecting to see a number that we always see. Like all of us pretty much share everybody. And the dude had like 60 people in his live chat. And I think I texted you, Blake, and I was like, look at all these people in Pat's chat. I'm so happy for those guys. So go check his channel out if you hadn't checked his channel out. You guys know to go check out Nick Push. He's one of my favorite YouTubers. And Pat and Brett, I really like those guys. They put out a quality show every time they're out there. Though I will say this, Blake, I was kind of disappointed when I went to the Escape from New York and there was no Brett.
No Brett. Yeah, I'm a big Brett guy too. Pat's okay, but I'm a big Brett guy.
Pat is great. They're both great. I just like I'm a weirdo in a way. I'm an OCD guy. I like to see my whole show there. If they're not all there,
Are you not a Moody guy?
Is it Moody or Mooney? Moody or Mooney?
Just say it fast, and it's whatever you say is right.
I love all three of them. That's what I'm saying. If they're not all three together, it feels like something's off, and it's not a knock on any of them. I just like having all those guys there because I love the chemistry those guys have. And like I said, I shouldn't say I hate. I'm not a horror memorabilia guy. I'm not a memorabilia guy, but I love listening to those guys talk about what they have and how they spend the $1 million that they make a year.
Dude, it's such a good little segment of their show when they bust out something to show us. Like I look forward to that every single time they do it because they have such cool stuff. And like each one of them, like they're all horror fans, but each one of them has like their own thing. Like Pat's a big Twilight guy, you know?
Yeah.
Not Twilight Zone, not Twilight, not the teenage vampire movies, but and Brett is a huge
alcoholic
guy. Yeah, and alcoholic. And he's also a wrestling guy. You know, Moody is a big Honey, I Shrunk the Kids guy. So, yeah, I mean, they all have their own things. Great.
Nick Push chiming in. Halloween shirt for Ronnie. I've seen it all. Well, I mean, apparently this is what you have to do to be on YouTube, Nick. You have to support Halloween. I think this is Don Shanks, Blake, if I'm correct. Halloween 1.
I think that's Tony Moran.
So Nick Push says brats. That's the Wisconsin name. I like brats, but I doubt his brats are the same brats we eat down here.
Yeah, brat doesn't mean the same thing down here in Mississippi, does it, Ronnie?
No, Pat says mustard and sauerkraut. I'm not a big sauerkraut guy, but I love mustard on my hot dog. I love mustard.
We eat mustard on pretty much everything down here.
Mark Mack says Chicago dogs for me. Now, Chicago dogs, the one time I got a Chicago dog, I've had a few of them. I didn't like all the fruit and shit and all that, whatever all that stuff was on it. I'm like really simple. Chili, ketchup, mustard, French fries, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Jim Bob, we gotta love Jim Bob. Happy America Day. Happy 4th of July to everybody in the chat. Let's see. Nick Push, it's not like having all 12. I was going to remember for a year and a half. Well, there you go.
Ronnie, do you have a favorite 4th of July memory?
No.
It's weird how that works, right? Like you have a Christmas memory, you probably have a Thanksgiving memory, but you don't really have a 4th of July memory unless something bad happened.
Yeah, we spent a lot of our 4th of July on the Pascagoula River and things like that. It never was like a beach 4th of July trip. It was always like a river trip. And I hated the river. I really hated the river. So, no, my biggest 4th of July memory, Blake, is when Blake Sluger landed on the USS Intrepid and he body slammed Yokozuna's ass for America.
He did it for America. You're right. That's probably the biggest 4th of July moment. And there's our right on cue, Ronnie. There's our boy.
Brett, happy 4th, Hosers. What's going on, Brett? Hope everything's going good with you, buddy.
Look at this background you've designed, Ronnie. I'm very impressed.
I shared no expense, Blake, for the
Your
Google
ability to copy and paste. I'm telling you,
second to none.
Woo.
Let's get right into it, Blake, because they didn't come here to listen to me and you BS. So we had two ideas, Blake. I said we could do a top 5 moments of Independence Day, or we could do top 5 movies that you have to watch on the 4th of July. Not really have to watch, but just are movies that you could watch on the 4th of July because it makes you proud to be an American.
Yeah.
every list you look up online, it's movies that have something to do with the military or something to do with the 4th of July or being patriotic. And I sort of wanted to mix and mold all of those together, Blake, for our little list. So my list is kind of out there, and we'll explain why each one of them's there. And you guys in the chat, give us your list. Nick Push has already posted his whole one up there. Me and him have a lot of the same movies. Blake sent me his early, so I made a point not to put the same ones that Blake had.
Did you have some of mine?
Yeah, I had 2 of yours, and I decided just to leave them off. So, and you'll know which 2 they are. So, Blake, I'm going to let you lead off. Top 5 movies. We'll do them one at a time. Top 5 movies that you have to watch on July 4th.
Does it matter where I start, Ronnie?
No, it's not a... We're not ranking them in any order. We're just going. Hey, here's my.
Rocky 4. Oh, look at you! You got the graphic. I mean, I don't. What do you say, Ronnie? It's America versus Russia.
It's East versus West.
Right.
Man versus man.
It's just proud to be an American type of movie. And he goes to Russia on Christmas Day. He has to avenge his buddy Apollo, and he kills Dolph Lundgren.
Dude, you way undersold this movie. Rocky 4 is what every red-blooded American, hot dog eating with the tomatoes and whatever, and French fries in Chicago, and the bratwurst and the sauerkraut. You should be watching this movie. This is one of the longest music video movies in the history of the world. This movie is great. You got 3 music montages. You got Apollo Creed getting the head knocked off his shoulder by Ivan Drago. You got Sylvester Stallone putting on the trunks, the red, white, and blue, saying, I'm not taking any money. I'm going to Russia. I'm going to knock the flat top off this guy by training in the mountains, in the snow, Paulie screwing that robot. There's all kind of crazy stuff in there that makes you proud to be an American. Of course, Rocky 4 is going to be on your list.
Yeah.
My first one, Blake. Let me see. I don't know which order I want to go. So I'll start with this one. Mel Gibson in The Patriot. All taking place during the Revolutionary War, Blake. Mel Gibson is trying to avoid any kind of conflict. He's got 150 kids. Just like in real life, his wife has died, and it's just him taking care of his kids when all of a sudden the British Army, the Redcoats, roll up and kill his son. And then all of a sudden we find out that during the French and Indian War, Mel Gibson was known as the Ghost. And he goes and enlists, and he enlists mainly because his son Heath Ledger is wanting to be in the Army. And it's just one of those fun movies. Like Mel Gibson had a string of like war movies that were amazing. Braveheart, The Patriot, We Were Soldiers. And this is a fun movie that I think has a little bit too much drama because, spoiler alert, he loses 2 sons in this movie. Heath Ledger getting killed, didn't expect that. But it's a really cool movie. It's got some cheese in it. And how can you not want to watch testosterone-filled scene where Mel Gibson takes a hatchet and just cuts apart like 7 redcoats in the fog? Great movie. The Patriot. Put it in your top 5.
I love how you left off Forever Young in those string of movies.
Well, I mean, like action movies is what I meant.
Oh, is that movie based off a true story?
Yes, of course it's based off a true story. Blake.
Oh, wow. It is patriotic then.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. I didn't even think of that.
I got to go to my list, Ronnie, because I forgot what I text you.
The Revolutionary War really happened.
Was that real?
That was real.
That wasn't some Spielberg shit?
I got to pull up our text real quick.
Can you just pop up a graphic and then I'll talk about it?
Yeah, hold on. Let me find the graphic.
All right, let me tell you all what's next on my list.
I'm going to save your bit. You mean to do the obvious one first?
Sure.
Okay.
Heavyweights, and you're probably wondering, wait a minute, a summer camp movie? Well, how is
Some
this?
fat asses.
Look, there is a scene in this movie where they defeat Ben Stiller, and they're celebrating, they're eating, they're popping fireworks, And I don't know, it just gives me that summertime feel. And when I think of summer, one of the first things I think of is beach and 4th of July. Okay. So I watched this movie today, plus Ronnie and I's got to review it. I love this movie, and it's something I got to watch every summer, every around 4th of July. So yeah, it's one of my favorite. It's one of the top camp movies of all time. It's one of my favorite summer movie of all time.
And plus, Ben Stiller recycled the bad guy for Dodgeball. It's pretty much.
I mean, Tony Perkins is White Goodman.
Great. I mean, I would have never expected this in a top 5, Blake, but I mean, I can't argue with you at all. My
Have you been cheating? Turn the cameras off. When Goldberg from Mighty Ducks gets on that scale and he slides the big one 50 pounds over and it doesn't move, get off the scale.
What's great is at the very end of it when they start playing all those clips of him when he thought the camera was off, just screaming at the fat kids. Lunch has been canceled today due to lack of hustle.
Deal with it. I'm feeling skinny, Tony. You sign up to have a great summer, and then after 2 days, it gets taken over by a psychotic.
Yeah, dude, and look, there was nothing wrong with this camp. It was like, if you're fat, you go to this camp and you just have fun. You jump on the blob, you're riding go-karts. Everything's great. My first one, Blake, I already popped it up. Red Dawn.
This is your second one.
Swayze, Charlie Sheen, Thomas C. Howell, I think that's his name. Kids in a Midwestern town. Russia invades, Cuba invades, they attack the school, they have to run off into the mountains and hide. It's the American spirit, Blake. It's the never give up attitude of the Americans that these kids, these Wolverines, can be a thorn in the side of all of these troops and generals. And at the end, one of the most heartbreaking scenes that you can see, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Red Dawn, Charlie Sheen and Patrick Swayze die together in the swing. It's a great movie. It's so, I think in a way, it's underrated how really good this movie is and just the drama and the characters in this movie. And it's what America's all about. Never give up, never give up. Fight, 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 no matter what the odds. Great cast.
Until now, no foreign army has occupied American soul. Until now.
You've been watching Red Dawn again?
What movie?
I don't know.
Hot Tub Time Machine. That's how I want you and I to go, Ronnie, in a swing.
Dude, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Next one, Blake.
I'm cold, Ronnie. I'm cold. I feel like this is going to be on everybody's list. Like, I'm looking at the chat. It's in Nick Push's list. It's in Pat's list. I mean, what's the saying, Ronnie, about America's pastime? I mean, it's baseball.
It's a great day for a ball game.
Kids playing baseball. Let's play two. You know, you got a kid who doesn't really know how to play, doesn't really know how to make friends, and baseball brings them together. Baseball helps him open up. And it also takes place during the summer, during summer break, and they have a 4th of July game that they play every year because for a moment, the fireworks light up the sky just enough to where we can play. It is an awesome movie, and it takes you back to being a kid.
Who was the narrator in this movie?
I think it was Ted Danson.
See, Richard Dreyfuss is a narrator in Stand By Me, and I thought this movie had a narrator that was a known actor too.
You're getting confused with Daniel Stern, who is the narrator in Wonder Years.
Yeah, I'm not getting it confused. I just thought this movie had a narrator as well that somebody knew.
Yeah, I told you it was Ted Danson. Cheers.
My next one, Blake. Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. You're probably wondering why I chose this movie. You're really not, because this movie celebrates America. It talks about why America is so great. A mentally retarded guy can go to the military. He can play college football. He can become a ping pong champion. He can meet presidents right and left. He can open up $1 billion shrimping business. He can invest in Apple. And in all seriousness, Blake, this movie makes America look so beautiful. Like the scenes where he's running at the very end of the movie. He's talking about when I was running in the desert. And then he talks about the sunrises in the West when he was running through the desert. It's like a celebration of America. Tom Hanks. I don't know if they intended to do that, but that's the way the movie comes off to me. Tom Hanks is just great in this movie. I don't know if it gets any better besides The Burbs for Tom Hanks. It's great music, great comedy, a lot of drama, really good movie. And it makes me sad every time he talks about Sally Field dying. And at the end of it, even when Jenny gets AIDS and dies and all the birds fly away at the end and he's crying, it's a really good movie. And it's an American movie. It's pro-America. And I love that, Blake.
Thought I'd test out my sea legs.
You ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan.
I know that, you idiot.
He's laying there in bed all depressed. And Tom Hanks is like, ice cream. It pans down. No legs whatsoever. Gary Sinise. This launched his career. He was great in this movie. This movie was just so good. Mr. Ernst was in this movie from Hey Dude. If anybody knows what I'm talking about. Blake, what's your next one? You only got 2 left, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure why I picked this one. Does this have anything to do with July 4th? Ronnie, I was about to turn 10 years old when this movie came out. I had a birthday party, had all my friends over, and we rented Independence Day. And it was such a huge deal watching this, seeing that alien for the first time when Will Smith says, "Welcome to Earth," and he punches it. This movie was a game changer in a lot of ways. Even though it came out in 96 and we had seen a lot of stuff before, like this movie was a huge deal. At least for my generation, it was. I don't know, because you were what, 17, 18 at this point?
Yeah. So, 16 when it came out in 96.
Yeah. So, I mean, this movie was so awesome. I mean, I think we stayed up and watched it like 3 times in a row. I mean, Will Smith was like the coolest guy ever. This was before he was beating up comedians on stage.
He's still the coolest guy ever.
Yeah, I mean, let's kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy. You know, when he dies, he got his goose moment. That was sad.
I can't breathe.
One of my favorite characters, Randy Quaid. Hello, boys. I'm back.
This is another one of those movies that's the ultimate popcorn movie. This is when you think of summer blockbuster. If we were just going
Goldblum, underrated part of this movie too.
Jeff Goldblum's great. Like Jeff Goldblum, I believe, is a lot like Harrison Ford. When you look back, like there was a point in the late 90s when I read something in Entertainment Weekly about Harrison Ford being in all these huge box office movies. Like his box office gross was up there, like near the top, like top 2. And I had no idea that Harrison Ford, every one of his movies had made a ton of money. Like Jeff Goldblum, not every one of his movies have made a ton of money, but he's been in a bunch of movies that have grossed hundreds of millions of dollars. And he's uniquely weird and good in every one of these movies. And like you said, very underrated in this movie. He steals the show all throughout the movie, more so than Will Smith, because we expect Will Smith to be an action star. We don't expect Jeff Goldblum to be an action star. So not only is this movie the retelling of the independent, putting the July 4th spin for the entire world, which is, super selfish for the United States to do that. Now it's everybody's holiday. But it's such a fun movie, and it gives guys and women and kids everything they want: explosions, aliens, a little bit of drama, romance, one-liners. It's a great movie. And like I said, if there was a summer blockbuster or summer movie Mount Rushmore, if we ever do that, Independence Day is going to be on there for me.
I'm trying to think, Ronnie. I want to say this is really what launched Will Smith. I know he did Fresh Prince from like 89 or 90 to this point, and maybe he did Enemy of the State before
Blake,
Independence Day.
You're absolutely right, Blake. This followed up with Men in Black the next summer, I believe.
Yeah.
Really set the stage for Will Smith to start getting those $20 million per movie.
But I mean, think about Jeff Goldblum's little 3-year period. I mean, Jurassic Park and Independence Day. I mean, that's 2 huge classics.
And Lost World. He was in Jurassic Park too.
Yeah, but I've never seen that one.
My next one, Blake. I'm going to save one
So that was on your list, right? That's one of the ones that was
Yeah.
on your list.
This and the next one you're going to do were on my list. And I was like, well, nobody wants to do like we did last night with the Mount Rushmore Return of the Living Dead. We're just going to, I can pick other movies because I love movies. Blake, you're going to laugh at me. Boom.
I'm not going to laugh at you, Ronnie, because I know what this movie means to you. I tweeted this the other day. I'm not sure. Since you don't follow me on Twitter, I'm sure you didn't see it. Ronnie took me to the movies when I was 11 years old to see this. And when Ben Affleck is screaming, "No, Harry, I love you," and Bruce Willis is like, "Sorry, Ben. Sorry, Batman. I got to stay on this rock." Ronnie starts crying next to me, like bawling.
Well, it's a very emotional moment. This movie is great. And before anybody hits me with the dialogue's terrible and why didn't they train the astronauts to be drillers instead of training the drillers to be astronauts, who cares? It's a movie about American heroes who decide, screw it, we're going to go into outer space and we're going to try to take down this asteroid that's going to destroy our planet so we don't have to pay taxes. Okay. And Bruce Willis is great in this movie. Ben Affleck is great in this movie because he's playing a hyped up version of Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis acts in other movies just like Ben Affleck is in this movie. And Bruce Willis sees so much of him in Ben Affleck that, I mean, and then at the end, you got all these characters that probably don't get enough time, but Steve Buscemi's great. Who's the Russian guy that was trying to find the holes in Seinfeld? He's good in this movie. This movie's really good. Billy, is it Billy? No, it's Jimmy. Jimmy from Roadhouse is in this movie. He's one of the pilots that's flying the ship. It's a really good movie, and I think I watched this in the movies like four or five times.
Roadhouse is in this.
Yeah, he's one of the people that he's in one of the ship that gets like exploded or whatever. He's the main pilot. He goes, "At least we still got you freedom," or whatever he says there at the end. But I mean, it's a really good movie. You got Aerosmith singing the soundtrack. Soundtrack's key in this movie.
Oh, what a big song that was, Ronnie, in 98, 99.
And you got, I forgot his name. He's the guy that played Hawkins in Halloween, the new Halloween trilogy. But he's in this movie. Yeah, I mean, he's great in this movie. So hit me in the chat. Tell me that guy's name. I can't think of his name.
Also, very sad moment. He doesn't have a relationship with his kid. And at the end, when he arrives back on Earth, the kid comes running up to him and hugs him.
Yeah, runs up to him and hugs him, and his wife is April O'Neil from Ninja Turtles Part 1.
Now that he's a hero, she wants to have him back.
Yeah,
his name's Will Patton, Ronnie. You know that.
Will Patton, thank you. But yeah, Armageddon is another one that's a huge summer blockbuster, and
it's a good pick.
Yeah, I love this movie. I love this movie. And Blake, let's get to your next one.
Is this my last one?
Oh, I hit the mute button.
Ronnie muted himself.
This is the last one, Blake, and of course, this is it.
So I'm not ashamed to admit that I didn't become a Jaws fan until much later. Actually, Ronnie, in 2020 or 2021, you and I did a draft with Nick Push on horror movies. It was during our audio podcast before we made the jump to YouTube. And he and the other guy made such a big deal about Jaws that I was like, yeah, I've seen it.
About Jaws too.
I've seen it, but like, okay. So I go back and rewatch it. And I know I say this like with every movie, rewatching it as an older, like I notice little things and like, my goodness, man, there's an argument that it's the greatest movie of all time. It holds up. Robert Shaw. I mean, everybody in this movie is cast perfectly. Even the shark is cast perfectly. And it's like summertime. Like, what do you do in summertime? You go to the beach, you hang out, and it's like everybody's worst nightmare. It actually wasn't everybody's worst nightmare until this movie come out. And then, like, it made people scared to get in the water. And, I mean, the size of the shark, the strength of the shark, pulling those barrels underwater, being isolated out there. It's a lot like Alien, you know? I mean, they're just out there by itself with it, nothing to do. Smile, you son of a... I mean, it is so good. And am I being stubborn by saying I don't want to see any of the Jaws sequels? I just want to have, like, kind of like Smokey and the Bandit. I just want to appreciate this for what it is.
I don't think so. Nick Push, you guys go check out Nick Push's video on Jaws 2. He does a really good job. And Darren and Frank also have a video on Jaws 2 that does a really good job of making me want to see it. Like the only thing I remember from Jaws 2 is there's a helicopter and the shark comes up and grabs the helicopter as it's trying to fly away in the water. I always thought that was a cool scene, but Nick Push said it was a scene that sucked. So I don't know what to think. Go by my own opinion or go by Nick Push's. I'm in a crossroads. But I mean, I don't think, Blake, it would be the worst thing in the world to watch Jaws 2. Maybe we should watch Jaws 2. Maybe we should review Jaws 1. Hell, we haven't done that. Maybe we should review Jaws 1 and Jaws 2. We got so much stuff we got to review in so little time. But I don't think it would hurt the first one because the first one will go down as one of the best movies, if not the best movie ever made. It was the original summer blockbuster. It hits all of your bullet points for 4th of July, Blake. Beach, barbecue, water, all that good stuff. I mean, the shark is great. The actors are great. Richard Dreyfuss, Robert Shaw, the tan guy whose name I can't think of right now. They're all really good. It's a really good movie. And it's one of those movies you never want them to remake. Just keep making these cheesy CGI shark movies. Never touch Jaws, because if you watch Jaws today, it looks like a movie that was made a week ago. That's how good of a movie it looks. It's a really good, amazing movie.
I think
Great
Sheriff Brody has the peak male body. Like if I could, I've been doing this diet for a year. If I could pick anybody's body instantly right now, I think I'm going Sheriff Brody.
You're going Brody?
I think I'm going Sheriff Brody.
Okay, Shane Emerson's coming in right here. Jurassic Park is like Jaws, but on land. He's absolutely right. And Jurassic Park, Blake, is a movie that could be in this list. Very
Well, the thing about
easily.
Jurassic Park that Shane probably don't know is it's a lot like Jaws in water.
The mayor isn't the villain people make him out to be. He's under a lot of pressure to keep the businesses running for the summer. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because we do have a lot of smart people in the chat right now, but I was under the impression that the original novel had a lot of mafia in it for Jaws, and the reason the mayor was keeping the beaches open is because he owed money to the mafia or owed favors to the mafia, and he had to keep the beaches open so he could pay them off, and it was like a plot line they didn't use in Jaws, but I heard Nick talking about those plot lines were actually in Jaws too. One thing I was awesome to see is that Stefano DiMera from Days of Our Lives is in Jaws too.
Really? Is he the villain?
I think so. He's the IROC. Pat says Jaws 2 is a decent sequel. Jaws 3, not so much. I'm pretty sure Jaws 3 is the 3D one, Blake, that's got Quaid in it. Dennis Quaid, not Quaid from the movie on Mars with Schwarzenegger.
Is what about the one in Back to the Future?
That's Jaws. Yeah, that never existed. Shane says the idea of Jaws 3 isn't bad. Execution is about as bad as it gets. Mark Mack says he loves Jaws 3. So, and Nick is saying I am right. That's correct. That is from the book. Let's see.
Nick, doesn't the Richard Dreyfuss character sleep with Brody's wife in the novel?
Yes, there could be no shark in Jaws, and it's still a really good political thriller. I agree with Shane on that. I mean, even if you never see the shark or if there's no shark, it's still a good movie. The characters in Jaws is what makes it so great. Just that whole town. You want to be in that town. Blake, we're going to be here all night if I don't get to my number one, and you're probably going to laugh at me. I really don't care. This is a movie, and anybody out there, because we got nothing but YouTubers in the chat, if you want to steal this idea, go for it. Because me and Blake will never do it because I can't get Blake to watch the Indiana Jones movies. But I wanted to do a video, Blake, of movies that might be better in execution than Indiana Jones. And it's mainly because of my love for this movie right here. Nicolas Cage in National Treasure.
So you just shit out the hottest of hot takes by saying National Treasure is better than Indiana Jones?
No, what I'm saying is National Treasure is better than 2 of the 4 Indiana Jones movies. It's better than Temple of Doom. It's better than what's the Crystal Skull?
Hey, I got another one for you. The Mummy.
The Mummy. I'll talk about that in a second. Don't let me forget. But National Treasure, Nicolas Cage, this was the perfect vehicle for him to have a franchise. Everything about this movie is great. The American history that they're talking about, the search for treasure, a main character that doesn't curse, it's not filled with filth. It's all centered around history and them trying to find the city of gold. Actually, the first one was the treasure of the Knights Templar. And it's action filled, there's action scenes, it's drama filled. It's a great movie. It's a really great movie. And Nicolas Cage is channeling his inner Indiana Jones, but in a nerdy way. It's like if Indiana Jones wasn't the badass that put the hat on and he was always the professor. He is great. Even part 2 is really, really good. And I would have loved to have seen a part 3 that they were setting up by giving away. Check out that page in the president's book and see what you can do about it. But then Nick Cage hit his financial troubles, and now they went crazy with this. I think they've got girls in the National Treasure series now.
Awful.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch that. But this is also something now that Nick Cage is hot again, they could bring it back and he could still do it because his age, Nick Cage looks really good for his age, and now he's got the sewed in hair. He don't need the wig as much anymore. These movies are really good, Blake. I don't know if you've ever seen these movies, but I actually like these movies better than I do Indiana Jones. And I think it's just me because I love history. I love American history. But National Treasure, really great movie. Really, really good movie.
I think John Voight is great in that movie, and I think the movie's okay. And you may have a point; it could be better than some of the Indiana Jones movies. I made Nick Push mad the day before yesterday. I said I tried to sit through Raiders of the Lost Ark for the very first time, and I struggled sitting through it. I mean, I'm sorry. I do got 4 kids running around in the house. It was a tough watch for me. He gets captured, he breaks loose. He gets captured, he breaks loose. He gets captured again. I hit the pause button. There's an hour and a half. There's still an hour and a half left. I was like, well, he's gonna break loose and get captured again. And then at the end, everybody melts, and I'm like, okay. So now that I've watched the movie, I gotta look just deep dive on IMDb, and I find out that Big Bang Theory, the chick on Big Bang Theory, said had this thing where she was like, Indiana Jones serves no purpose in the movie. Whether he's in it or not, the Nazis are going to go to that island, open it up, and melt. Like, if you take him out of the movie, nothing changes. And I'm like, wow.
Nick, I tried watching The Librarian 100 years ago, and I couldn't get into it, even with the guy from ER. You're right, Blake. I remember that episode of, what you said, Family Guy.
Yeah,
it was actually Big Bang Theory, where she says there's no point. He serves no point, and they all get mad. But, I mean, it's not for everybody. I told you and Nick in our little group chat, you just need to watch The Last Crusade. That'll be the movie you can make it all the way through in. And that could be your Indiana Jones movie.
Guys, I have simple taste. I like Teen Wolf 2, okay?
Hey, awesome moment in Teen Wolf 2 when that dude takes the golf ball at the Goofy golf place. Yeah. He just crushes it into dust.
He crushes it. I like Big Top Pee-wee. I like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, okay? Indiana Jones is not for me. Sorry.
Shane Emerson says, I just saw National Treasure 2 for the first time yesterday. It's a really good movie, Shane. I've been watching them over and over and over. Shane says we need a third National Treasure film. I'm all for that. Brett says he loves National Treasure. Blake, it seems like the chat agrees with me that National Treasure is better than Indiana Jones.
I think you had the better list, Ronnie.
What now?
I think you had the better list. Hey, you wanted me to remind you about the Mummy. Talk about the Mummy.
That was John Voight's car. Shane Emerson, great reference right there. And let's talk about Seinfeld for a second. John Voight agreed to do a cameo where he's walking across the street. Kramer screams, "Hey, John Voight!" And he reaches in the cab, and John Voight bites his damn hand as the cab drives off. And John Voight, you hadn't heard from him in a few years when he did this cameo. I just thought it was hilarious that he had no problem being a crazy celebrity, biting a random person's hand that was reaching in for a handshake in that movie. Nick Push says Teen Wolf 2 is great. Back to The Mummy. The Mummy is another movie that, I'm going to say this, Blake, had an opportunity to possibly be another Indiana Jones franchise. Brendan Fraser is great in that role. The chick that plays in that, the goofy brother, those first two movies were really freaking good. Now they followed it up with a third movie where they didn't have the whole cast, but that was another franchise that had an opportunity to do the Indiana Jones route. I mean, and they're talking about summer blockbusters. The Mummy was a huge summer blockbuster. That was one of the first movies that just blew up Brendan Fraser. So he started getting $20 million a flick.
And blew him up so big it became the whale.
Yeah, I have a problem with Brendan Fraser. First off, he says he got molested when he was 30. Second, this guy was making $20 million of film. George of the Jungle, Deputy Do-Right. I know for a fact he made 10 to 12 movies after he hit the $20 million a film stage.
Blast from the Past is a guilty favorite.
Blast from the Past is a great movie. How the hell did he go broke? How did he spend
all
the money?
What's the movie where he gets the wishes with Elizabeth Hurley?
Bedazzled. That's another good movie where he's sweating. Nah, it's just 110%. You're right though, Shane. Goofy ass rock at the end of Mummy 2. That was crazy. Encino Man, Nick says, is still his best film. I disagree. I think it's the Mummy. So here you go. Blake, that pretty much wraps it up, right? Yes, no. Anything else you want to talk about? Any other guys in the chat, real quick before we wrap it up? Any other summer blockbuster or summer movie that we haven't talked about that we need to? Now Pat's piling on with Nick saying Encino Man is still his best movie. Let me get this off my chest real quick. I was talking to Darren about this, Blake. You remember the guy Data from Goonies, the Asian kid or whatever he is? You know, he won an Oscar this past March. I'm really sick and tired of watching him take damn selfies with other celebrities. Like he's acting like he's one of us and he's running up to take celebrity selfies with people at all these award shows. He's not one of us.
He's not
the dude's still a damn celebrity.
He's not allowed to be a fan?
Yeah. No, he's not allowed to be a fan. Get over it. All right. We don't care. Okay. We don't care.
I care. Keep posting those selfies, dude. I want to see who you meet. Ronnie, what's the top 3 fireworks?
Top 3 fireworks: Bottle Rocket, Sparkler, and what's the Roman Candle?
Roman Candle. Hey, I like it.
Well, all right, what do we got this week, Blake? We got
We're reviewing Ernest Goes to Camp. We're reviewing Heavyweights. We're supposed to do
One Crazy Summer is in the can. I'm editing it as we speak. One Crazy Summer, the good, bad, and ugly, will be out this week, guys. So make sure you check that out. Brett says M80s are on the list. What is the 4th of July, which means some people have seen all 5 fingers for the last time. Nick Push says we need to do Problem Child. Here's the deal, guys. And we will do Problem Child, I promise, Nick. But we put it on the Patreon the other day. We're going to spin the wheel and make the deal for our Patreon and our YouTube members to see what movie we review. And then our content is going to slow down. We have to start 31 Days of Horror. Me and Blake are about to do Slaughter High. We're trying to get as many of those in the can as we can possibly do. We're going to have some guests. Some of the guests are in this chat. We still haven't reached out to some of the other people that we wanted to join us in October. We're going to try to get that 31 for 31 marathon going and finished once again. But a lot of things are fixing to start happening in Blake's and myself's personal life. So if we're not around for a week and a half, just know that we're either working on October or we're doing something fun. Okay, so don't panic. All right. So what else?
Yeah, and Ronnie's going to need help with 31 Days of Horror. Like you said, we both got some personal stuff going on, and I may not be able to be there every day for 31 Days of Horror. So if Ronnie hits you up, you better respond.
Yeah, really. We're actually going to have to use some of the other members of the All the Good Names Are Taken cast this year because we got some big stuff planned for 31 days too. Some good guests and some great movies. So
terrible movies. I've seen the list.
You guys have to do Up the Creek. What's Up the Creek, Blake?
I mean, Ronnie, I've never seen Indiana Jones.
And we've got like 10 or 11 people in the chat right now. I put it out there for everybody, and Nick Push was the only one to respond. We haven't done the Halloween franchise yet. We haven't reviewed the Friday the 13th franchise. We've done everything but review the Friday the 13th franchise. Which one of those franchises would you like us to review first? Friday the 13th or go through the Halloween franchise? You better choose wisely, as the old knight said in The Last Crusade, because me and my brother are about to be hard out here in the next month and a half. Shane is saying Friday. Nick's already said Friday. Josh the Horror Guy finally speaks and says, review Blood Gnome. What is Blood Gnome, Blake? Mark Mack is saying Friday the 13th, so it looks like it's all going to be the same, Blake. Everybody wants to see us talk Friday the 13th, which is good for us because there's no better channel to review Friday the 13th than me and Blake. I mean, we're single-handedly trying to bring you guys a Friday the 13th movie. That's the spiel for another show, because I'm telling you right now, you're not going to like this series. You're not going to like it. Or maybe you'll love it. Maybe I'll love it. It's going to be the best, Blake. The series is going to be great, and the movie is going to be great. Everything's going to be great, right?
That's right.
I think we got pinged early on in this, Blake, but how could we not play something like this? Not play that. That dude dancing is the best thing on the internet right now. Let's wrap it up really quickly. Let's see. Brett saying Friday the 13th as well. You guys are going to be like Kevin Smith writing Superman Lives with the new Friday the 13th movie.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Dude, that's a great video idea, Shane. What would mine and Blake's Friday the 13th movie look like? Because I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, I'm one of these people that I'm sad that the DC universe is starting over, because the older I get, the more they start things over. I know I'm not going to live to see it or be interested in it because I'm going to be so old. We're not doing a revamp or a remake. We're branching off one of the other Friday the 13th movies, and we're rolling from there. Or we may just pick up in the woods like it never ended. That's it. There you go. Anyway.
I love it. Do you want to sing America the Beautiful to close it out, Ronnie?
You want to sing Lee Greenwood, God Bless the USA?
You want to sing Queen of My Double Rod Trailer?
Ooh, with my polyester curtains and my redwood deck. What about Chattahoochee?
It's definitely hotter than a hoochie coochie right now in Mississippi.
So hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for, guys? Thank you to everybody that helps support the channel. We don't tell you guys this enough. Thank you. Thank you for the 10 to 12 people that came in the chat room tonight and interacted with us. We don't tell you this enough. Thank you very much for watching our content. We really do appreciate it. Blake, have a great 4th of July. Everybody in the chat, have a great 4th of July.
Going to bed.
Oh, yes, 9:48. 2 more hours to party on 4th of July. Don't get fired from work tomorrow. Go into work. Everything's going to be okay.
Is it fireworks or firecrackers?
It's fireworks.
It's fireworks down here in the South.
Firecrackers is racist.